Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. Our topic of discussion, travel 2024, summer travel 2024. We have one document on worst countries for black travelers. We also have a document on sunflower lanyard. We have our special guest joining us to discuss that, and that is Annette Merce. As you may recall, she has been on the show before. She is a brain injury survivor, so she has some other issues. So she has a sunflower lanyard, but she experienced a couple of ordeals at airports while she was traveling. So we'll get her to mention that and tell you her story after we get to this first audio clip. And then Jackie will give some information on what it's like to travel as a black American. Jackie.
Hey, Dr. Glenn, and to our listening audience on today, we are glad to be here, and we're glad for this subject on today. We're talking about summer travel, and we know that our summer for our kids is getting ready to come to an end next month. They're going to be going back to school, but for those of you that are still out there and you still have time, get out there and enjoy life. Get out there and get to traveling, take those kids somewhere, a road trip, camping, or something. But get out there and enjoy yourself. And so we're going to give a few travel tips on today. And also, we're thankful for our guest, Miss Annette, as she's here with us. She's going to tell us about those that are traveling with a disability. And this particular program that allows for ease of those that are traveling that have disabilities. It's something to be traveling, but it's something else to have a disability and need special circumstances and not be able to get it. So she's going to tell us about the program when we'll also have the information at the end of the show where you can email us and we'll give you the information that you need for those that have disabilities. It's a great program. I thought about it. I thought it was it's great information to give out on today. So we're getting ready to go to our first audio today, and we will be right back. Hang on with us.
Only one thing I want to mention is when we get to Annette, I want to caution her not to mention where these lanyards can be purchased or any monetary amount, because we do not give free advertisement or promos. Here's our studio engineer with the audio clip.
Hi. Today we're going to talk about the worst countries for Black travelers. I have a video called Countries Where Black Travelers Feel Welcome. And in the comments, I always get, yes, but what about the places we should stay away from? This video is not intended to tell you to stay away from these countries entirely. It's just to let you know that you may not have the same fantastic, wonderful, amazing experience that you would have had in the countries that are like the most friendly and the most welcoming. Again, I'm African American, and the women that we're talking to today who are giving their opinions are also African American. So these are our experiences. All right, we're going to get right to it. Oh, wait, but I didn't introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Perry, and I am a year-round house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School, and I help Black women take a sabbatical or move abroad on a budget. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel and make sure that you ring the notification bell, turn on notifications so that you'll be notified when I post a new video. Welcome. All right, if you clicked on this video, but you're totally not interested in hearing about people's bad travel experiences, it's okay. I have a list of 50 cities where you can Airbnb for $500 per month. That is at vicarious.com/50 cities. The link to that is in the description. Go ahead and click on that link. You'll get some good information.
Yes, Dr. Glenn, we had the wrong audio, but that is an introduction to a part that we were going to talk about today, and also talk and speak about, being a Black traveler, because, we live in a world today where everybody doesn't accept every country is not friendly to Americans, and some of them especially are not friendly to Black Americans, and also Africans. I've experienced and I've traveled abroad, and I have seen it where they were more friendly to Americans than they are to Africans, and discriminatory towards African people from the African nation. And so it is not, we make the assumption that it's okay to just go and travel. You need research. And that particular video is on YouTube, as it was introed there. And I did watch it in its entirety, and it was talking about and giving us some tips and things about, traveling abroad and being black. Some places where, that is not frequented by black people. And when you go to those particular nations, you may be gawked at, you may be stared at, you may be treated as if you are something other than human. You may be treated as if like you're in a museum, or they're looking at some strange animal, and it's just you. And you have to be prepared for those things when you are going abroad. And so that is one of the things there. Are we ready with our next? We're going to have our next audio here.
No,
And
wait a minute. Let's do one or two comments on that document. Here's one comment. Um, this is so inspiring, but I cannot spend my money where I'm treated poorly. Just won't do it.
yes, and that was one of the comments from that particular broadcast. Dr. Glenn gave us and pulled some of the comments that were on there, and it says there are few places that black people can travel to and not be disrespected. I beg to differ. There's a lot of places that we can go abroad, and I mean, I lived in Germany, and we were not treated poorly in Germany. We were treated like different, definitely, or as if some of the people had never seen black people before. I remember them coming up and touching my kids' hair and that kind of stuff. They were looking at us like we were amazed, or I mean, we did look like we were on an exhibit or something, and so that was different. But I also understood that maybe some of them had never seen black people before, or black little girls with the braids and barrettes on their hair and beads on their hair, and they were coming up trying to touch. I didn't feel threatened by it. I didn't feel offended by it. You have to understand that you are black and you're in a foreign country, and that's to be expected. Is sometimes people they've never seen you before, and they want to see if that color rubs off. They want to see, I remember back in time it was told that some of us had tails, and some of them might want to see if you have a tail, if you're actually a monkey or something. I mean, it could be any number of things that could be disrespectful, or it could not. And some of them, I saw them as very kind old ladies, and they're just coming up and looking at the kids and squeezing their cheeks and being nice. I didn't see it as a threat, and it depends on how, it depends on your mindset. But you need to be prepared when you're going abroad for those type of things. Dr. Glenn?
I have one question before we go to the break. Then we'll come back with Miss Annette Mertz. While you were in Germany, did you notice the majority of the people were blonde, blue-eyed?
Not necessarily. I didn't notice blonde and blue-eyed. There were some that were there. I have my own opinions and some things that I may keep private about some of the things that I experienced there. But, one of the things I was amazed by is that you could see a little old lady. I mean, she's barely getting along, and she would jump out there and get on a bike and paddle like for miles. And I mean, little old lady, and you think she's just barely making it, and boom, get on that bike, and she's gone. So those are some of the things that I really enjoyed about seeing that country. But I didn't see, as you said, the blonde hair, blue-eyed. I mean, a lot of them were just dark-haired and brown-haired, just like any other race. It was a mixture of people. And by us being military, we were in the company and the mixture of a bunch of people. So not just, but we did live out on the economy in Germany, and we lived out, in an apartment and out in those places. And that was so long ago, but hey, I didn't have a bad experience. I enjoyed my time in Germany. Dr. Glenn?
All right, we have 1 minute before we go to the break. Then as we go to the break, when we return, we're going to have Miss Annette Mertz come on and make her comments about the sunflower lanyard and her experience at the various airports. Jack, you want to take us out to break?
Yes, we want you to come right on back here. We're getting ready to go out with a break. We're going to have some helpful travel tips that you'll be able to enjoy here, and also some things and tips to help you pack and to get ready, and for those that want to go abroad. So I want you to keep it right here. Keep it locked right here on Awesome Radio 107.5 and 1570 AM on your dial. We'll be right back in a moment. You can also call in today at 252-756-2008. Back in a moment. Awesome Radio.
My name. You're the seed to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
org.
Hi, my name is Tracy. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
I'm Eric Rubin. Dobre došli v Bulgaria. Welcome to Bulgaria. As U.S. Ambassador to Bulgaria, I'm experiencing Bulgarian hospitality, culture, nature, and historical sites firsthand. Join me, my embassy colleagues, and a growing number of American travelers who are discovering the beauty of this country. To make sure your trip to Bulgaria or anywhere abroad is the best experience possible, the U.S. State Department has 4 pieces of advice. Get informed, get the required documentation, get insured, and get enrolled in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, STEP.
You're right, pardon, to my right.
Rick Steves visited Bulgaria recently. I'll let him tell you more about STEP.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves, here in Sofia, Bulgaria. I believe that when you travel smartly, it's just as safe as staying home. And thoughtful travel helps us to better understand our world, more important than ever these days. There's a program our government offers to help us travel even smarter and safer. It's called STEP. Check it out at step.state.gov. Wherever you're traveling, STEP's a great way to know just what's going on where you're visiting and to stay as safe as possible in your adventures. And I'd say that's a good tip. Happy travels from Bulgaria.
There's so much to see and do in Bulgaria. Come experience the wonders of this beautiful country for yourself. And as you think about packing your bags, remember, get your documents, get informed, get insured, and get enrolled in STEP.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was our second audio clip. Now let's hear from Annette Mertz and another program for hidden disabilities, the Sunflower Lanyard. Ms. Annette.
Good afternoon, Dr. Glenn. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you. Apostle, how are you? Everything good today?
I am well, and yourself today?
Yes, thank you. So, yeah, I recently traveled flying for the first time since my accident a little over a year and a half ago. And I was a little apprehensive going up in the air. I have a traumatic brain injury and I had surgery in my brain. So I was really apprehensive about whether I was going to have any difficulty flying. Was it going to create any pain? And I was with my family. Fortunately, I was with my daughter, my son-in-law, my granddaughter, and my mother. So that obviously helped a lot. But through the North Carolina Traumatic Brain Injury Association, I learned about a lanyard, and it's called the Sunflower Lanyard. And it's a specific green lanyard that has sunflowers on it that you can wear. And the lanyard was designed in the United Kingdom to identify that you had a hidden disability. And so many airports worldwide are listed that recognize the lanyard. And so when you have the lanyard on, it lets them know that you may need extra time, you may need extra assistance, or you may get confused and need a little more time to comprehend what's going on around you or in communication with airline staff. So being that it was my first time flying, I wore the lanyard to see if it actually did what it's supposed to do. And I was flying out of Raleigh, Durham, And when I checked in, I asked the gate assistant, or I'm sorry, the gate person, if they knew what it was, and they did. And then when I got to TSA through go through security, the woman pushing my wheelchair, I had a wheelchair assistant, she didn't know what it was. And when we got to go through security, she insisted that I take my sneakers off, and I was sitting in a wheelchair. So I said to her, I really don't think I have to. And she asked me if I was 75, and I said no. She goes, well, if you're not 75, then you have to. And I said, ma'am, I'm in a wheelchair. I really don't think I have to take my shoes off. But she insisted, and because it was my first time flying, I didn't want to create a problem for myself, so I took my shoes off. And when I got up to the scanning machine, the woman on the opposite side saw my lanyard. And she said, do you need assistance? And I said, yes, I do. And I said, this woman just made me take my shoes off, and I'm not comfortable walking in my socks on the floor. I'm afraid I'm going to slip. And she came right over to me, put her hands out, let me hang on to stand up, helped me go through. And she said, you didn't have to do that. And I said, I didn't think so, but you need to retrain your staff to let them know what this lanyard means. So when I shared with the group, I know there are other people in our group that have been traveling that have had some trouble. And I really think that if more people knew about it and we could do more to be advocates for the program that might assist in training staff at an airport what it is and what it's used for, could be very, very helpful. And again, it's any disability. It could be children that have autism. It could be stroke patients. It could be traumatic brain injury. The whole point is it's a hidden disability. So I have some physical limitations as a result of my motor vehicle accident. And I have physical challenges. I have vision challenges. I have hearing challenges. Some are visible, some are not. Obviously, my brain injury is not visible. So I felt really optimistic about the lanyard. I was grateful I was with my family because they were a huge help to me. But I do think that if more and more people are aware of what it is and the importance of I ordered mine off of Amazon, but I know there are other websites that you can get it from. And I can email Dr. Glenn with more information on how to get it and where it started in the UK. And I think it could help a lot of people.
Yes, Miss Annette, I absolutely agree. I agree that it's a very, very good thing, and also to help those. And I specifically want to express the portion about being hidden, having hidden disabilities. Because if people can see the disability, they tend to automatically be more helpful. But if they can't see the disability, especially as you talk about children with autism or adults with autism, sometimes the loud noises, and also it takes them a while sometimes to understand or to move or react to what is
Yeah.
being said to them. And I think that especially would be a great program for those that have autism, especially going through the airport. Everybody's in a hurry. They want you to move through fast, and some people are not understanding as to why or what is going on, as to why that person may be delayed or not moving like everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think it's a blatant form of disrespect or anything. Like you said earlier, people need to be retrained to recognize what some of these things are.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely. So those of you that would like to be interested, that are interested in that particular, in being the sunflower lanyard, you can contact us after the show is over, and we will be able to give you the website that you can go to, or that you can look it up on your own. You don't have to wait on us. We've already said the word sunflower lanyard.
That's right.
So that's your hint, your clue to Google and find out about that program.
or email me, and I will send you the document that I have on the sunflower lanyard.
Yes, and wonderful program, Miss Annette. I just want to ask you before we get ready to let you go, and I know you couldn't stay on long, but how was your trip?
The trip was wonderful. It was actually, we went home to my hometown where I grew up. So my daughter, it was her 20th class reunion from high school, but they do what they call alumni weekend. So everybody that went to school, there's a meet and greet Friday night, and they have a parade on Saturday of classes. And I mean, my mom is 90, and she went to go to her alumni weekend. So we had four generations: my granddaughter, my daughter, myself, and my mom. So it was very, very special.
All right, Miss Annette, we're so glad to hear that. We're going to ask you to hold and come right back with us from this break, and we'd like to hear a little bit more because I just have to say, wow, 90 something and going to a class reunion. That is something awesome. And so we are going to come back. We're going on our break right back in a moment.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hayden. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
You're listening to The Glenn Johnson Show. You can reach Glenn at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Combs Williams. Here's Apostle Williams and our special guest, Annette Mertz.
Yes, Annette was telling us about before we went on the break that her mother was not, did you say 93?
She's 90.
And 90 and went to her class reunion at 90. I just thought, what a blessing. And I just had to stop at that, congratulations to your mother. And just, I mean, long life is a blessing to see someone have long life and going to a class reunion at 90. My grandmother is 94 this year. And so I know what it is to have relatives that have long life. Miss Annette, is there anything else that you would like to tell us about the Sunflower Lanyard program before we let you go?
Like I said, I really just encourage anyone that needs a little extra help, that has maybe some challenges, disabilities, to go online and look for, do a little research. Like I said, it helped making my first trip more comfortable, because once I knew that some of the staff knew what it was, it gave me a little reassurance. And I actually, on my return trip, there was a man in the waiting area that had one on. Another man had one on, and he approached me and he noticed mine. So we had a conversation about them. So not only did it not only allowed me to see that staff knew what it was, but it allowed me to see somebody else, another passenger, wearing one. And that was really cool. We exchanged conversation about, the importance of it. So I just encourage everyone to use it if it's available, use it if they need it.
Yes, it is awesome and an awesome program. We do have a website here, and we're going to, Dr. Glenn is pointing for me to give out that website, and it is hdsunflower.com/US. And again, hdsunflower.com. And you'll be able to learn more information about the Sunflower Lanyard program. I think it's a great thing for those that need a little extra help. And by putting it on the broadcast on today, it is also giving out that information that's available to help those that have disability. So, Dr. Glenn, do you have anything else you want to speak with our guests about one today?
Well, one thing I see on there is choose your location to visit the sunflower in your region. That's America's USA, https:// hdsunflower.com/US.
Definitely. And as you go there, you'll be able to find out the particular places where you can get the distribution of it and the cost and everything will be there. And also the process of what you need to do to get one if you are a person that has a hidden disability. And so we are grateful for you being on with us on today. Miss Annette, we're glad to have you back for another time. And I'm certain that we'll have you back in the future. Thanks for coming on and sharing your experience about your travel and how this particular program worked for you. God bless you, Miss Annette.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. God bless you as well.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention, it says the U.S. State Department is the first federal agency to join the Sunflower Act. The Sunflower. The U.S. State Department is the first federal agency headquarters to launch Hidden with Disabilities Sunflower Program. It was brought to the department by Alex Barbracio, chairman of the department's Disability Action Group, DAG, DAG, an employee or organization that works towards inclusion of individuals with disabilities at the department. Jackie.
Yes, so Dr. Glenn has given us some more information on that. And as we said earlier, you can email him and he'll give you and email you this particular document if you'd like to look at it from our broadcast on today. And so before we end today, and we are ticking, our clock is ticking down very quickly, we wanted to give some travel tips on today. Just a few travel tips. And there's so much with travel until I know we can't even finish this all today, but we just wanted to give you a few. And one of them is said to invest in good equipment. And what we mean by that is to make sure that you have a good suitcase. You know, I knew a man once and he was talking and he said to me that he has that gray tape on the suitcase so that people don't target his luggage so that no one will want to steal it. But if the suitcase is being held together by gray tape, you know, it's a possibility that your things could end up out of it and thrown out or lost or whatever, and your items not make it to where you're going. So get a good piece of luggage, get something sturdy, something that doesn't have a malfunction, you know, something that zips, you know, not that raggedy old bag that you need to be about throwing away. Make sure that your luggage is going to be thrown around, it's going to be picked up. And then if you have something that is delicate, you might not want to put it out there. I remember buying Dr. Glenn a hot pink suitcase. I mean, beautiful, bright, hot pink. And by the time it got where we were going, the outside of that suitcase looked like I don't know what. It had been left out in the rain as it was transferred onto the plane. It no longer had the vibrant colors and beautiful like I thought. It was like a darker pink by the time I got where I was going. So, you know, make sure that you make your choices there. Understand that light colors are something that could get dirty or could be, you know, exposed to the elements and dirt and different things. Also out on the ground, it could fall on the ground. So things could get dirty. Also, look at those particular things. Dr. Glenn, did you want to add anything?
Yeah. And speaking of certain items, be sure that when you travel, especially abroad, you don't have things in your luggage that might be not admitted in that country. And make sure you don't have any liquids in your bag. Liquids are so important. Ever since COVID, ever since 9/11. So you can't travel with certain liquids, perfumes, anything like that. And certain food items you can't have and take to another country.
Definitely. And I want to say this, and I should have said this before we ever started with any of these particular tips, is that you need to pray before you go on your trip. Pray for safety, pray that you're covered. pray that you have a good trip. Pray, just spend some time in prayer because this world is very, very crazy, and you can't afford to go leave home and not be covered in prayer. You need to be praying. Psalms 91 says that he that dwelleth in the secret place shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So when you abide and when you dwell in the secret place and you spend time in prayer, you're covered by God. You need to be covered, and you need to cover your trip. Pray for the airline people, the pilots, and everybody that you meet. You want to go and come back and have a good testimony. Dr. Glenn?
All right, we have 2 minutes before we go to the next break. Then we'll be back with our final 20 minutes of light. We'll be back with our final 20 minutes. But Jackie has all the documents in front of her. So I'm going to let her mention some of the documents for your knowledge and for your safety tips. Jackie.
Yes, and right before we go out, talk to your bank. Before you leave, call your bank and let them know. When you start using your debit card out in different places, that bank can flag it and stop the use of your debit card because they see these charges that are happening in some other country or some outside place, and they may not know that it's you. So you need to contact them and tell them that you're going to be traveling. It happens all the time. It happens to me. I've been in places where I was at the gas pump in another state putting in gas, and I couldn't use my debit card. I had to call and see what it was, and the fraud prevention people, they had locked my debit card because they see this gas happening in a strange state or someplace that's outside of the place that I've been to for a while. So definitely call your bank and let them know that you're going to be traveling so that you're not struggling to try to get your funds when you're out on the road. You don't want to be out there and not have no money or stuck at the gas pump like I was trying to get them to unlock it so I could get gas and get on my way. And so we're getting ready to go out on another break. We want you to hang on in there with us and come on back. We have a few more good travel tips that are going on. We're definitely not finished for today. Some great things that you're going to be able to hear, and we still want you to call in. It's not too late. The studio line is 252-756-2008. That is 252-756-2008. You're welcome to call in. This is Awesome Radio, and we'll be right back with you in a moment. Come on back with us.
Keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show.
My name is Dr. Wiley Nifong. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show here on Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. As we were going out to the break, Apostle Jackie was mentioning banks. So what I'd like to offer at this time, and I think it was 1979, I came home on Christmas Eve, and while you're in basic training, they will only give you American Express travel checks, no cash. So if you had to go anywhere, that's what they would give you, American Express travel checks. So I took my flight from Georgia back to Newark International Airport, and I had all these traveler's checks. I didn't want to wait for a ride, so I hailed a taxi cab. I got that taxi cab to drop me all the way back to the Jersey Shore. I forget about the amount, but it was a lot of money. And believe it or not, he accepted the American Express travel checks. I said, thank you, Jesus.
Yes, I have used them myself, Dr. Glenn. I think it was when I was in Israel. I used them there, and they worked just like cash.
Yeah.
They were taken just like cash.
They are cash.
And so, Dr. Glenn, I'm sure that was a big fare that you had to use or pay with those traveler checks.
Yeah, it was a big fare, particularly since it was 1979. So everything seemed high. I think it was $125, $150.
Well, in our digital revolution now, we don't hear anything about traveler checks anymore. It used to be commercials on TV that were advertising and I used to know I can't remember it now, but I used to know the commercial and what they would say about the traveler checks. But now we don't hear that anymore because we live in such a world where everything is instant now, and you can bank from anywhere in the world as long as you have a smartphone, and these smartphones have just changed everything.
That's right. Another thing that you don't see anymore, department stores with what do you call that thing? Uh, what is that thing? I just had on tip of my tongue. Gift checks. They don't issue gift checks no more. The reason why people would go in and purchase a gift check, say for $200. So you get this gift check, walk out of the store, they will put their name on it, go back inside, cash it for $200 because their name was on it.
I have never heard of a gift check, Dr. Glenn, but they do have gift cards now. And
Well,
so, like this digital revolution, you put it on that gift card, and it's the same thing.
well, that's why they had the gift cards now. No more gift checks.
Well, they used to have layaway too, and a lot of places don't have layaway. It used to be, layaway used to be the thing especially when you had children coming up to Christmas, you could put that layaway and pay on it every week, and then get that stuff off for Christmas. Layaway was a blessing.
You see it. Our studio engineer sees the gift checks, but Jay was just mentioning a layaway.
Well, see, Dr. Glenn is a little bit older than me too, so he might know a few more things that I don't know.
Yeah, I think I still have some stuff on layaway that I forgot about. I probably owed him $1 million for one shirt.
In 1970, huh?
Yeah, I'm serious. I probably owed him $1 million for one shirt and one pair of pants.
And that's what they do. They would put that layaway back. If you didn't come and get it in time, they would put it back. And it used to be a very good program, especially to help people that had,
We have a caller calling in.
that had limited finances. It looks like we have a caller coming in.
Caller, you are live on the air on the Glenn Johnson Show.
Yes, I'm going to Minnesota.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm going to Minnesota and the Mall of America.
And so, do you have a comment or is that a question?
I said I'm going to the Mall of America in Minnesota.
Are you trying to call the Glenn Johnson Show with a comment?
No, I'm telling you, I'm going to Minnesota for the weekend for the same time with my family.
Well, can I ask you a question? Is there any kind of dire emergency? Do you need help with anything? Do you need help or rescue or anything? Did you hear me? Do you need help? Police, paramedics, what have you? I think she dialed the wrong number.
All right.
We'll let her go. All right, Jackie.
All righty. And so we're also looking here. One of the things that it says that we have here is the pack light. I don't think that I could ever get with that particular rule, Dr. Glenn, to pack lightly. Because I always overpack. I don't know about you, but I have everything in case of an emergency. And we're women. It just happens with us. I don't know how it happens, but we have everything in case of an emergency. We never run short of clothing because we do not pack lightly. I've seen people and they have a little backpack and they're going for 4 days or however many days, and they have this one little backpack, and I'm thinking, how are you doing it? Where are you putting, all of your stuff? You have to be wearing the same outfit more than 1 day or wearing it the whole time that you're out, because I cannot make it fit into that. And maybe they have a method of packing things in such a way that it is packed so tightly until you can work it out with a backpack. But the backpack is what I can take with me, on the trip to put the things in that I bought, that so it won't make my suitcase too heavy.
Yeah.
so I can't do it with a backpack.
Me either. I like a two-handle carry bag rather than a backpack.
Oh, Dr. Glenn could do it with a two-handle carry bag. I have to have a big suitcase, a big one, and a few extra bags in there for the things that I bring back. So, but it says to pack lightly. If you can, pack lightly. Don't do like me. I have to get there and end up paying more money or trying to rearrange things while I'm standing there. And bring a big extra purse so that I can put some things in there if I have to move it if my suitcase is overweight.
That's
Dr.
right.
Glenn?
That's right. Because your suitcase might be overweight and they would not put it on the flight because it would put the aircraft in jeopardy. That would take a lot away from the flight dynamics that they have to adhere to.
Also, it says here to consider traveling off season. You know, you can go when it's not at a popular time during the summer. I see a lot of people traveling during the Christmas season. They're overseas in different places. They're going out to Airbnbs while it is the Christmas season. And I said, Dr. Glenn, I was going to start looking at traveling during Christmas instead of just going to family events. You know, make a destination travel. That's what it's saying. Travel at off peak season. I don't know that Christmas is off, you know, but for cruises and different things, it's not as popular to go in the Christmas season as it is in the summertime.
All right, 2 minutes before we go to the next break. Then we'll be back with our final 10 minutes. Jackie.
Yes, we were talking about going during Christmas time or off season. Familiarize yourself with your destination. Know where you're going. Do some research on the country, especially if you're going out of country. You need to know. I remember having a travel agent and going to Belize. When we went to Belize, the mosquitoes, they literally, Dr. Glenn, it was like a buffet. And nobody told me that the mosquitoes were that bad in that place. They ate us up and we had no defense. And I'm thinking the travel agent, you told us everything to bring, but you didn't tell us to bring any mosquito spray. I mean, it was like the dinner bell rang as soon as we got off the boat. But then I should have known that some of these nations, they have a lot of, you know, black people in them. They're going to have mosquitoes.
You know,
And there were mosquitoes. They did. They ate us up, Dr. Glenn.
the thing I want to say about mosquitoes is in the military we learned skin so soft, a product by Avon that the Marine Corps used. It would deter any mosquito from coming near you. Skin so soft was like an instant uh, repellent for mosquitoes.
Well, some of the other places we went, we didn't need it. But when we got to Belize, oh my goodness, I was itching. It was bad. It really was. So, Skip, do find out if you need mosquito spray in those different places, and bring what you need. Get that skin so soft or that off or whatever it is that you need to put there that's going to repel the mosquitoes from you. And so we are also inviting you. You can still call in. We got 10 minutes, or we're at our last quarter of the broadcast. 252-756-2006. We'll be right back in a moment. We're looking forward to seeing you again. Awesome Radio.
20.
My name is Jayla, and you're the seed to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
We have a caller calling in. Caller, you are live on the air on the Glenn Johnson Show.
Hey there. I was just curious. The clip that you shared earlier, that was the wrong segment or something. Is that going to be on a future show? I was just curious because that was great travel information as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your comment. Jackie, did you understand that?
Yes.
And I was
It,
curious if that was going to be something on a future show because I thought that was some good information I'd like to take
and
grab.
we did want to put some things on here from that particular show, but you can catch that. That clip came from, and it's the worst countries for Black travelers, and it's
Okay.
called Black Women Traveling Abroad. And so
Okay.
it gives, if you would look it up, you can Google that, and you will be able to see the full clip there. But we do thank you for that suggestion. That would be a great show to include some of the particular things that were there on that broadcast.
And if you would like to email me,
Okay.
you can email me at Glenn. Jackie, give her my email address.
The Glenn, is it Glenn,
No, just Glenn.
Dr. Glenn?
No. Glenn, Glenn, Johnson Show at gmail.com.
Okay.
Glenn
Thank
with
you
two
so much.
N's. Glenn with two N's. Glenn Johnson
Okay.
Show at
Got it.
gmail.com.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for calling in. And Dr. Glenn, I told you that would be an interesting thing. And there we have people calling about that particular
Yeah.
thing that we should have played a little bit more. Maybe on one of our future shows, we'll play some clips because I did hear some interesting things there. And one of the countries they said was Italy, in certain places in Italy, in different places. And they said China, especially. They talked about China being in a place where you might be the only Black person that was there.
Well, we have 7.5 minutes. Let's see if our engineer can fast forward to a particular part.
I thought this was very interesting
Is
to bring
how
forth.
you interact with males, because usually the males are the ones that own the shops. And unfortunately, don't be alarmed if someone kind of like touches you or grabs you to come look at their items that's in their shop. So that's the one thing that has me cautious with Morocco. I loved it, but you just have to be mindful of that.
Was there a difference between Fez and Marrakesh? Did you find one a little more chill than the other, or were they pretty much the same?
Um, Marrakesh is more chill and a little bit more westernized. Fez is, they haven't gotten up to date yet.
Okay.
And their Medina is actually a lot bigger and more of a maze, and it's easier to get lost or turned around in the Fez market than it is in Marrakesh. So just given that, like I said, you have all these people coming at you. Marrakesh, you can navigate yourself better, but Fez, you can't. So just being mindful of like, just because you walk away from a shop, they will follow you and go. So watching your eyes of like who's around you, who you said no to, how the others around interacted with that or heard that, that's the cautious thing.
Did you take steps to dress more?
Yes, very good clip there. And they were talking about Morocco and some of the places where and it's not just there, as they spoke about going to particular shops and people trying to get you to buy things. It happens in Mexico in different places. You can go and they'll sometimes be trying to pull on you and grab you and trying to persuade you to buy different things in their particular shops. And so that's how it is in a lot of countries. It was that way in Mexico, Israel, and they're talking about Morocco. But they were also talking in that particular clip or video about how some of the men don't necessarily respect women. And you might be, touched
Yeah.
and you might be looked upon as a love interest too in those particular places. So those are one of the things, how women, they talked about dressing appropriately. And that's one of the things going to a foreign country is go there to dress appropriately. Some of those women in those countries do not show skin. And you're going there with your hot pants on or your shorts, and those women don't dress like that. So you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Not that you can't be yourself, but you also attract an attention to yourself that may be attention that you may not want to have in a negative type of way. And so that's one of the things. Find out how the culture is. I mean, when I was in Israel, you could tell that we were American because we had on short sleeves. And of course, it was hot out there, but those ladies, they had on things that covered their faces, covered their hair, covered their arms, most of them, and covered their legs. And so, consider the place that you're going, and if you're prepared for the attention that you may attract because you are dressing differently. Dr. Glenn?
Yeah, particularly Islamic countries for females. If you don't have your hair covered, like the females there have a hijab, you have to have a hijab on. Else, it's not a good thing if you don't have a hijab on.
Consider the culture, and you may have to mesh in and put on some particular things that you may not be used to wearing here. I saw that when I was in Israel. They were okay with us being not wearing it, but certain sites that they other religions were in charge of, you could not come into those places without having on that covering. Dr. Glenn called it a hygiene. You couldn't come in without wearing it. I remember being approached, and I was approached in Israel at the Temple Mount, that beautiful gold dome, place where they worship there. And I said, I'd love to see the inside. The lady says, you could go in, but you're just gonna have to put this on. And I was like, oh no. I mean, it was 100 degrees plus out there,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't see myself with that black thing on. I thought I was gonna blow. I was struggling and I didn't have it on. So imagine putting it on. I have to admire them that they're able to wear those things out in the weather. But they did. They came over, they talked to me, they were interested, wanted to know what I did and everything. Out of everybody in the crowd, they came right over to me. Where do you work? What do you do? And I'm trying to explain to them, at the time I owned a daycare. And so, I think they couldn't get the concept because women stayed home and took care of their children. And so I think they couldn't understand it in that, trying to get them to understand that, I was a daycare provider. Dr. Glenn?
You have to be extremely careful when visiting other countries, particularly if you visit a country that's really, really high on religious standards, because they do not mess around. Their religion is so important, so you have to keep that in mind.
In some countries, you cannot even yell. If you're Some countries for women, it's against their laws to yell. You need to educate yourself on what you're getting into before you go into those countries. I know of a story of a woman that is in jail in one of these foreign countries because she was yelling. You're not supposed, some places, women are not allowed to raise their voice like that. So study and learn about the laws and things of where you're going. It's something to look fancy that you're flying all over the place, but it's something else to find yourself in jail over there in a foreign country because you have not studied the laws or you're not ready to obey and rule yourself according to how they do in that country.
Yeah, and this weekend, what I'm going to do is that video that they call in about, I'm going to edit it with the time markers so you can go to a particular part, and then perhaps we'll use that next week for a part two, because like you said, that's so important. So I'll have the entire audio that's broken down into the different time markers as well as the video. Jackie.
Yes, and I guarantee you I'll bring back next week some things and some laws in different countries that you may not know and that you need to obey while you're there. We're going to look at some things, and I'm glad Dr. Glenn said that we are going to have a part two. Come on back on next week, and we will discuss some more travel tips, and we'll have some interesting facts, and we're going to have that video ready with some things that talk about places where Black people may not be as welcome. And so we also want you to know that that's not the totality of it, that's not it. This is just some people's experiences. You might go to the same place and have a wonderful experience. And so we want to make sure that we stay balanced in the information that we give out here. So we want to invite you to come on back next week. We're at the end of our show here, the Dr. Glenn Show. Come back next week and we will be ready for you on next week. Dr. Glenn?
I haven't heard the word totality.